Welcome to the Crimson Engine. My name is Rubidium. Today we are comparing these two cameras, the R5C and the C50. See which is right for the kind of shooting that you want to do. So I've had the R5C for 4 years now. It has been a workhorse camera for me, both in video and stills. It is the camera that I most often travel with because it is compact. It has incredible versatility for both video and photography. It does pretty much everything that I need. When Canon came out with the Canon C50, I was really intrigued to see what new improvements, both technologically and ergonomically, I would see if once I started working with this camera. And while it does have a couple of interesting tricks up its sleeve and a couple of big improvements as far as ergonomics go, it isn't nearly as big a jump as the R5 to the R5C. And it brings up the interesting question of technology in cameras, at least, somewhat flatlining over the last half decade. Manufacturers are having to work harder and harder to come up with something new that they can offer in new models. So let's start with what are the big improvements on the C50. First of all, it comes with the XLR breakout box. You can take this off and use it as a smaller unit, but the R5C, you had to buy the Tascam XLR thing. In addition to that, the XLR now has this great handle that allows you, with a thumb button here for record, you also have the digital or physical zoom controls right where you need them. So yes, the handle is a big upgrade. But to get this handle, you lose the EVF on the R5C, which, if you're shooting in bright sunlight, is the only way that you can really judge focus until you add an external monitor with some kind of hood on it, which sort of defeats the purpose of having such a small camera to start with. The C50 does have open gate. So if you shoot a lot of vertical video and you're either trying to capture horizontal and vertical at the same time, or you're primarily interested in vertical acquisition, but you don't want to turn the camera like this because then all the dials are in the wrong place, C50 is a really good option. As far as the footage coming off these cameras, I couldn't see a noticeable difference, especially in RAW. Because the R5C has been out for 4 years now, there are a lot more of them in circulation, and as a result, you can get a good one refurbished or secondhand. So the R5C retails now for $2,800, $1,000 less than the $3,800 of the C50, but there are plenty of them out there for just over $2,000. But one of the big reasons that there isn't such a difference between the R5C and the C50 is that Canon has kept updating the firmware for the R5C, adding a lot of the functionality that the C50 launched with in retrospect to the R5C. So what could the C50 have added that it didn't? 32-bit float point audio is one option. It doesn't really have room for a variable ND. The one place that Canon really could have been aggressive with this camera is in the price. The Nikon ZR launched at under $2,000 with a lot of the same features that the C50 has. But to do that, Canon would have had to undercut the existing R5C and the prices of the R6 Mark II, which still retails for $2,700 and doesn't have anywhere near the cinema capabilities of this camera. More than likely, Nikon is losing money on the ZR, pricing it aggressively as a loss leader to try and claw back some of the video market that they had lost to Canon when they were so late in adding video to their cameras. If you're in the market for a compact cinema camera, you might be looking for something smaller to travel with than your larger setup, or you might be looking for a B or C camera for your C80, C400, C300. The C50 has enough benefits to it with the open gate and the increased ergonomics of the handle to make it worthwhile the extra $1,300 to buy it over the R5C, especially if you're not interested in photography. I shot with this camera a lot, and I've created a masterclass for it on Canon Masterclass. The link is in the description. But ultimately, I think we are entering an era where fewer and fewer big jumps are going to happen in the cinema camera space because there just isn't that more to add. Until there's a revolution in battery technology, we're not going to get longer battery life. We're unlikely to get a big leap in dynamic range because while processing power has grown, there's still way too much energy, way too much heat, and way too much calculation to cram something like the Alexa 35's multiple stops into a package this size. I think we may have reached a period in which camera technology is going to progress slower than it has over the past 10 years. And we're going to start to see prices come down like we did between the Canon C500 Mark II and the C400, where the C400 has pretty much all the capabilities of the C500 Mark II and more, and it's at half the original cost when you adjust for inflation. All in all, that's a good thing. It puts more camera power in more hands and allows more people to learn the art of cinematography and to tell their own stories. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time.